Alongside my ground hopping and road to Wembley videos, my obsession with football continues with FC25, and just like I do every year, I'm playing through the entire football season on the game, in line with the real life fixtures. When I say the entire season, I mean England's top two tiers and domestic cup competitions, the European competitions and La Liga, though I'm thinking of doing Leagues 1 and 2 when FC26 comes out in the summer, but that totally depends on how much time I have. Adding two more complete leagues might make it impossible to play all the games alongside the real fixtures, so let's see how that goes. How do the tables look then? Well, starting with the Premier League, and it's an incredible title race with Liverpool, Arsenal and Manchester City separated by only 2 points. Liverpool had built up a bit of a lead in December, but a poor run of form in January with draws against Manchester United and Forest, then defeat at Brentford brought Arsenal and City back into the title race. City's last game resulted in a 5-1 home defeat to Chelsea, while Arsenal seemed to be the team on form, so they look the most likely to take the title out of these three. Let's see what happens when Arsenal play City in the first week of February though. I hope this title race continues to be close until the end of the season. While the rest are miles behind, it's still an interesting fight for the last Champions League place, with Newcastle currently occupying 4th. Spurs and Chelsea are 5th and 6th but level on points, just one behind Newcastle, then Brighton and Villa are still in with a chance of the top 4. Manchester United are 9th, but they're only 6 behind Newcastle in 4th, so I feel like this is going to change around a lot in the last few months of the season. Down at the bottom, I thought Southampton were bad, but on my save they actually had 2 more points at this stage than they did in reality. Obviously their win at the weekend has changed that now, but at the end of January they only had 6 points, while they have 8 on the game. I don't see any way of them staying up, on the game or in real life, but the relegation battle is so close between the rest here, and there's probably 6 teams who are realistically going to be fighting for survival. West Ham are having an awful season. They're 19th with 18 points. And while I seem to be able to score goals with them, as you can see, they've scored a lot more goals than the teams around them, but they're so poor at the back that they get caught out in almost every game, and their defence is the worst in the league. As with real life, Ipswich and Wolves are battling to stay in the Premier League. They both have 19 points. And then it's Leicester on 21 and Everton and Fulham on 23. On the game, I think Leicester and Fulham are too strong to actually go down, so it's likely to be 2 from Everton, Wolves, Ipswich and West Ham, who'll go down with Southampton. Moving on to the Championship, Leeds were starting to pull away at the top of the table and almost made it to February, still unbeaten, but then they lost at Burnley, so the gap is now 4 points. Burnley have a 5-point lead over Sheffield United, who have a game in hand, and they'll really need to win that if they're to keep up with the top 2. Norwich and Sunderland have now overtaken Middlesbrough, who after a really strong start to the season have gone on a really poor run of form that's seen them drop out of the title race and in danger of falling out of the playoffs altogether, though they do still have an 8-point lead over Luton and West Brom. It's very close in the middle of the table as you'd expect with such a close league, and it gets even tighter as you go into the relegation fight. Watford have had a really poor season, but managed to string together a few wins in January to pull themselves away from the bottom 3, but realistically everyone from Coventry in 18th place is in a relegation battle. Oxford United are still bottom, though their form has picked up, leaving them only 6 points from safety when it was previously 12. Then only 3 points separates Plymouth in 23rd from Coventry in 18th. Coventry seem to be the most entertaining team in the league though. Their last 3 results have been a 6-3 loss to Watford and 4-4 draws with Blackburn and Bristol City. I'm really enjoying playing through the Championship season, probably more so than the Premier League, which is why I'm considering adding Leagues 1 and 2 for next season. Not much to say about the Carabao Cup. It's reached its semi-final stage, and in the first leg, Liverpool won 1-0 at Goodison Park and Manchester City beat Tottenham 2-1 at the Etihad. So it's likely to be a Liverpool-Man City final, which should be interesting. The FA Cup brought a few shocks in the third round. Blackpool beat Coventry on penalties. My current road to Wembley club Exeter won away at Queen's Park Rangers. Then Liverpool needed penalties to get past Bournemouth in a game that I really thought they were going to lose. League 2 Gillingham took Southampton to penalties, but the Saints won in the shootout. Swindon Town stunned Swansea, and there were comfortable wins for Manchester City, Arsenal and Chelsea. Probably the biggest shock of the round was that Stockport beat Fulham on penalties at Craven Cottage, and also Luton Town knocked out Newcastle United. So in the fourth round draw, Burnley against League Two Swindon, Ipswich play Leicester, it's an all-championship tie as Sheffield Wednesday play Oxford United and Barnsley will play West Ham. Then Exeter City have been drawn at home to Manchester City. I'm back at Exeter for the real-life fourth round tie next week where they host Nottingham Forest, not Manchester City, but it should be a brilliant cup tie. Exeter's rivals Plymouth go to Stoke, it's Wolves against Chelsea, Everton play Championship Portsmouth, then moving on to the next page it's Villa against Spurs, which matches real life. Arsenal travel to Blackpool, another all-championship tie sees Watford play Norwich, and then Southampton are home to Luton. Holders Manchester United have been drawn away to Crystal Palace, Liverpool are at Sheffield United, then it's an all-League Two tie, Rotherham v Stockport, and lowest ranked team in the fourth round, Grimsby Town play Birmingham City. So there are some really good ties there, but let's move on to the European competitions. In the Champions League, it's a very similar look at the top of the league phase as Liverpool and Barcelona make up the top two. Bayern, Real Madrid, Manchester City and PSG all make the top 8 alongside Inter and Dortmund, so there's how my tournament differs from reality. Then the teams who are seeded in the playoff round, AC Milan just missed out on the top 8 as well as Atletico Madrid. Leipzig and Girona have made the playoffs here when in reality they didn't, and in the unseeded path we see Arsenal and Celtic who only just squeezed into the playoffs at the expense of Stuttgart. Bologna also got a playoff place when in reality they were nowhere near. So which teams failed to qualify on the game? I think Aston Villa and Lille were the biggest shocks. They were simply awful. No playoff for either of those. And one difference is that every single team got at least 2 points here. So there are some interesting ties in the playoffs. It's Arsenal against AC Milan, Atalanta play Brest, Monaco take on Leipzig and Bologna play Atletico Madrid in one half of the draw. On the other side of the draw, it's Benfica against Bayer Leverkusen, Club Brugge play Feyenoord, Sporting Lisbon against Girona and Celtic have a tough tie against Juventus. I don't think that's been seeded in the same way the tournament was in real life, but that's okay. At least it has the seeding and unseeded teams right. In the Europa League and Conference League, there aren't any playoff matches as I had to go back to the old format, so no fixtures in February. It'll go directly to the last 16, so I'll play these ties alongside the real-life matches in March. But here's the Europa League first. Galatasaray against Besiktas is huge, but so is Roma against Real Sociedad. Tottenham have got Olympiacos and Rangers will face Lyon. On the other half of the draw, Manchester United are playing Fenerbahce, which is a really difficult draw considering the rest of the teams on this page. The Conference League on the game features a lot of teams that aren't actually in Europe simply because there were a lot of teams missing from the game, but let's look at the Conference League last 16. And Chelsea play Croatian side Hajduk Split, while Newcastle are playing AEK Athens, and Hearts have made the last 16. They'll be playing Vitória Guimarães of Portugal. And lastly, in La Liga, I've taken control of just 3 teams, Real Madrid, Barcelona and Atletico Madrid. And as you can see, it's really tight title race here too. Atletico are 1 point ahead of Real Madrid with Barcelona a further 4 points back. But look at the gap between 3rd and 4th. It's 8 points, which shows you how good these 3 teams are compared with the rest. What did you think of these standings? Let me know in the comments. Subscribe to my channel and why not check out some of my ground hopping videos. I was at Chesterfield most recently, but I'll be visiting Exeter City and Carlton Town over the next month or so. Thanks for watching.